Hi, my name is Sally Bernard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A. And now onto the show.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's that time of the day, Monday at 2:30. Welcome, everybody, to my listeners and to the people in the studio audience here. I'm open for questions, as you know, so here we go. I think we'll open it up to the studio. I have a special guest today, Pete, who just arrived. We just met, but we have a lot in common.
There's a lot of connections.
Right. You had actually, just to let our viewers know, if they listened to our last show, you called in and there was an instant connection, I think, with what we were talking about, Pete. So here he is. He happened to be living in Fort Lauderdale and the studio is in Boca. So here he is, right here on my show.
Am I
Welcome.
famous already or semi-famous?
Well, with my introduction, maybe it made you a little more famous. And Evelyn's sitting in the corner there. Hi, Evelyn. I'm happy to have you today on my show, too. My fellow artist friend, correct? And I know you have a few questions. Shall we open it up to you first, and then we can go with Pete, or whichever? But you have time, so maybe we'll get Pete to start, and then we'll go with your questions.
However you roll.
I'm very eager to know what you have to ask me. As you
Okay.
know, I don't like to know anything before the show starts.
Right.
Okay, so let's open it up to you, Pete. What questions?
Something has come up in my mind since I talked to you last
Okay.
time. All the non-conspiracies and conspiracies also have a huge element. What's that?
Oh, your mic.
Oh, the mic, right, yes. All the non-conspiracies and conspiracies have an element, at least 50 to 60% of time traveling and proof of time traveling in it. And to me, this means that everything is going forward and backward and forward and backward at the same time.
That's interesting that you said that, because people had asked me, even when we were just talking about that, Dawn, are you here? We were saying that when we say time travel, we always think that we go into the future.
Exactly.
Actually, we don't. We
Right.
go into the future and into our past.
Exactly.
And I know that you're very, familiar with all
Exactly.
of this. So I'm happy to have you here on my show.
Thanks.
Because you might understand me.
Right. I understand you intuitively
Yes.
and logically and technically too.
Right.
Many of the people who don't believe in time travel have issues that are happening in their life right there and then, whether it be subconscious or unconscious.
Right.
And the time travel is a form of remedy too, and they don't want the remedy inside their lives.
Right. And it can become very complex and complicated, and many people, obviously I understand many people that don't believe this, and I definitely do respect that.
Right.
But I've had so much happen to me, you don't really know my story, that I really can't deny the things that have happened to me. And then to hear in the studio so many good things have happened, people walk in that absolutely can relate to me, because I believe that we go out into what we would maybe call the airways
Right.
through vibrational energy, which I know that
the
you
vibrations,
understand
right.
absolutely from just calling into my show last
Exactly.
week, that we draw people in of similar interests. So,
Exactly.
So I think there's so much, so to speak, going on behind the scenes.
Exactly. And one thing you said last week, you thought you were off mic, but you were on mic, or maybe the mic, you knew the mic was open. You said being in this environment right here, there's magic happening, like it's bouncing off the walls.
Absolutely, and it's very strange because today is probably one of the quietest days that we had. Even Freddie, Dawn and Freddie run the studio, and
Right.
Freddie's not even here today. But I believe there are no coincidences.
I don't
so
believe it either.
You're in the
No.
right place at the right time,
Exactly.
discussing the things that we're meant to be talking about.
Exactly.
So what I'm just going to do for a few minutes, because
Sure.
I know Evelyn's been trying to ask me, and I said, no, wait till I'm on my show, your question of what happened today, and then we'll go back to the time travel.
Sure.
Oh yeah, sure. I had this really strange. I can't even explain it. This woman contacted me on Instagram. I want to pull up just while I'm sitting here, and she calls herself a high priest. And she just she just contacted me out of the blue. I don't know who she is. I've never seen her before. I never saw her Instagram at all. And she's telling me all this stuff about how I can't even. She says It's like so weird. My dear, due to what was revealed among your family and friends, your star is one of the shines brighter. Your destiny for greatness and blah blah blah. But then she talks about all these blockages that I have, that I'm supposed to reach this greatness, but with all this blockages,
How did she, you don't know how she found you? She just,
no idea.
because there are a lot of people, and I'm not saying that, I'm sure she probably might be genuine or not, but many people do contact us. They see our name and they'll just contact us. But I'm not saying that that's so, because I actually do feel that she was a high priestess. I don't know too much about it, from Atlanta, in the times of Atlanta. And I just getting a strong feeling about that for some reason. I know nothing about this. I do not know her name, but I'm getting the energy from, well, I'm actually getting the energy from you. That's who you, I feel that's who you were in one of the times of Atlanta.
That I was the priestess.
Yes.
Huh,
I don't know whether you said it was her or not, I don't know. But this is something that I'm feeling.
Yeah,
But we've crossed paths so many times, Evelyn,
we have.
and which we
Yeah.
were actually going to discuss, yes.
Yeah,
so we were meant to definitely meet.
We haven't figured out what or why yet, but we will.
Right. And I don't believe this is coincidence, the show today. I know that you haven't astral projected as yet, which you had talked to me, but I think you were meant to be in the right place at the right time with the show today, which we will talk more about in a minute.
I know that I have a lot of I'm very intuitive, but for me, it's tapping into the intuition that I'm looking to
Exactly.
do more of
Yes.
that,
Yes.
And that's what I think she was trying to tell me, is that how highly spiritual I am, and there's been blocks, and I don't know.
I
So
do feel that she's for real, actually. I don't need to know her name or anything about her, but I do feel the same about her. As she's telling you, I feel the same about you too.
she keeps saying how I need to pay attention, and the spirit guides are giving me messages.
Well, let's go with that, because I'm here and I'm talking to you.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel that this is absolutely true. I think you're right now you're at the very cusp of beginning to understand so much more, because you already do understand. I don't believe that we've had coincidences. Our paths have crossed now for the last 7 or 8 years, and yet we've really never had a long conversation. So I think now is the time that you're beginning to open up, absolutely 100%.
Yeah, I
And
feel
being in
that.
the studio, as you know, many people have come in here, and it's been amazing who we've met in here. You're part of that.
Yeah, I keep meeting amazing people here. It's been
Yes,
shocking,
it's incredible.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're very quiet. I know it's your first time in the
Right.
studio, but it's definitely a place where people are drawn to.
So I was
Some-
wondering if you could just answer the question, like, what is the spirit guides trying to tell me? Because from this woman, she
They're-
keeps telling me
No,
they're trying
telling
to tell
you
me something.
Yes, that you're very intuitive, because you have had previous lives which we would call, quote, spiritual, where you've understood a lot of this. It was dormant, and that actually happened to me too. I was very much into what I'm talking about now from the 15th century, as you know a little of my story. But it's been dormant, but now is the time for you to open up, accept all these things, and I do believe that you will start astral projecting, as we had talked about.
Oh, that would be
Just
fun.
keep asking when you go to sleep that you want to travel. We had mentioned this slightly before. I think you're ready. Now is the time.
Okay, so that's basically what the spirit guides are trying to tell me.
I think
is-
so, yes. They're telling you that things that we think are coincidences, they're not. And the fact that you're sitting here now on my show, this is the first time you've also been on my show, and we've really had a long conversation about this. You are absolutely ready. But again, we have free will, and it's entirely up to you with what you do with it. But you are ready, and you will get many messages. And I
So
think this lady
the-
she sensed that about you.
Funny. The blockages, any sense of that?
Yes, because you have been blocking it up to a point up to now. Yes, I feel that you have. Not actually even knowingly, but I feel that when things that I think you started to travel, well, we actually all do travel. We're just not our time to remember this because there is an astral plane. But you are ready now. Accept that. Go with it. When you feel even a slight vibrational energy, which I did in the very beginning, I had no idea what was happening to me, but I followed that, and amazing things happened to me for a year and a half here.
So are you saying that astral projecting is the be-all and end-all in terms of spiritual
No, not
awareness?
at all. But it opened me up very much. My first message was go and get some paper and pencils and start to draw. I'm thinking, who's giving me this
Fantastic.
message? But I
Fantastic.
started to draw. I have 160 paintings today.
Right
Never,
there.
ever had a lesson in my life.
Right.
and I know you know a little of my story because I've written a book, but then one of my guides actually materialized. He was born here, but he had been looking for me, and when I opened up to this whole thing,
Right.
he showed up in my life, knew a lot. He understood exactly what was happening to me, but he did not come into my life until after I'd had my first astral projection, and I couldn't understand what had happened to me.
Okay.
So I was ready. I knew about this many other lifetimes ago, but I was ready to open up in this lifetime. So
Tell
here
us
we
a little
are.
bit about the painting behind you.
Yeah, well,
did-
actually, I have been painting now for about 18 years. I hadn't, but my first art that I was drawing was from the Renaissance, and I was never an artist, but I'm drawing things from other lifetimes that I had never seen in this
Shocking,
lifetime.
isn't it?
So they needed to bang me very much on the head and say, Sally, you are ready to start this journey. So this one is I love this. I love doing my paintings, but I had left it nearly a year before I had done anything. And suddenly the next thing I know is here's this painting here. And it's just, and I've got a big one now.
And the key of what she just said was she had no skill before that, and the past life thing came up through it. It happens all the time.
Amazing.
It's not coincidence you're in the studio today. And a couple of months from now, Evelyn, you're going to say to me, you know you were, I can't tell you, and it's not about ego that I'm right, but it's a feeling that I'm getting about you. You're going to say, my God, Sally, I was meant to be here today. You've not been on my show before.
Not like this.
No.
Yeah.
So my advice to you right now is just listen. You'll meet people. This is what happened to me. I've met them here, as you know, Dawn, in the studio here. I've met the most amazing people. They don't always stay. They come and they go. But I've had a conversation with them that normally if I'm out, say somewhere else, it's not going to happen. But we seem to, just as yourself here, Peter, I feel
Exactly.
that now, absolutely,
Exactly.
having met you, that there is communication. We draw the people to us. You're going to find that. And I think you're going to find it here in the studio too.
Can I say something about her blockages?
Absolutely, yes.
All right, I've been studying blockages since I was 7 years old. Blockages are a technical and emotional connection of a connection, meaning there's something that the light on the other side of the blockage wants you to get to, that business and social things will become fantastic for you all the time. The blockages also relate into acupuncture too, where the meridian lines inside acupuncture inside your body begin to block themselves, the positive and the negative back and forth. And what you need to do is exactly what she said, but you also maybe want to think about going for acupuncture so the blockages can be released sooner and you get to this amazing stuff in your life that you're going to make us wish we were you.
It releases, as far as I know about acupuncture too, the energy, because it makes it
Exactly.
flow freely. Because
Exactly.
if you've got a pain and you go for acupuncture, they know the point. But you know, also, I also believe it helps, absolutely, but you also have to believe it. It's very, very important too.
Yes.
Our belief system is
love
everything.
acupuncture, yeah.
It's there for us, but if we don't believe it, you know what? It doesn't matter what anyone does. We'll feel a little relief, but it starts with us believing this.
Right. This
So-
woman, just to go back to this and end with that, she was saying how there was jealousy and someone was putting something on me, whatever.
I don't believe that. Up until now, I feel that what she was giving you was good advice. I don't believe that. I think you are, you know, they say our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
You're the one that's blocking
I-
it. But I
I
think
said
now
that
we are
to her.
releasing it. You are releasing it.
Okay,
You're
good.
here for that reason. I think absolutely
Fabulous.
on my show today.
All right.
I feel that you're going to be releasing it. And I'm here for you. You know, we're here.
Thank you.
Okay, Pete.
Yeah,
let's-
when that blocking unoccurs with you, whoever is negative around you or within distance of you will suddenly be drawn to you and they will release their negative energy.
Well, that'd be good.
And you'll have amazing things going on.
Amazing, absolutely, and I feel that we have a lot in common here.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know your story, and we've just met.
Right.
But when you start meeting the people, like I have in this studio here, it's
It's like a flower.
I can't. It just opens up. It's just like, and you can relate to this, Dawn, too. Look, when we first met, right? It was absolutely incredible, the things that happened. Where
Oh,
are you, Dawn?
There she is. She's
Okay.
over there. I want to say something about your painting, too.
Yes, please do.
The colors you used are phenomenal. That says something about your past lives, too. Also, to make a long story short, when I was 13, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, past life came into me. said, "You will make an animation film right now." Had no clue on how to do it. I used clay figures, Elton John playing the piano, put it all together, lighting, frame release was perfect, was phenomenal, and then it left me. But that was the past life.
Yeah, I had
Unreal.
many. I mean, I didn't realize this because I didn't honestly, I mean, I knew it, but it had been dormant for the last few lifetimes. It was very much prevalent when I was in the 15th century. But I'm drawing all these things, signs and symbols
Signs
from
and
another life
symbols,
that I've
right.
never seen.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, this man, most of the people that are familiar with my show, when I talk about Aldo, they knew he passed away 2 years ago. But
Right.
he taught me, I knew him for a couple of years, just to backtrack on this gentleman. But he had come into this life to find me.
Wow.
He knew everything. He understood so much. But never, I met him at work, actually, but he never introduced himself to me. And this is a really important part of my story, until I'd had my first astral projection. I had been in hospital, I came out. Suddenly, I'm drawing all these things, but he didn't tell me until I asked him questions. But he had all my answers for me, but he didn't give it to me first. I would say, he'd say, "What do you remember?" Well, I didn't even know that I could remember previous lives, but here I'm drawing the symbols and signs from a particular family from that lifetime. And I'm actually drawing their coat of arms. How can you deny
How
that?
can you
You
deny
know,
it?
because you,
It's a
so
red flag
it's quite,
right
I'd
there.
love one day to actually explain to you what
Yeah.
actually happened.
Yeah.
But I've never seen this coat of arms from this particular family.
Right.
So I couldn't deny what was happening. And now he's explaining, when I asked a question, that was Aldo, everybody probably knows how many times I've related to him. But he came in with the knowing of absolutely many of his different lifetimes.
Right.
So I don't expect everyone to believe my story, but here I'm painting things that I've so thought I'd never seen.
The proof right there.
Yes,
Now, Did you
absolutely.
and him become friends?
Oh
too?
yeah,
You did.
18 years he was in my life, and a day never went by that we didn't talk. He subsequently
Wow.
stayed in my place for a while.
That
too,
is
for me.
deep.
Yeah, because he'd looked for me from when he was a child.
Right.
And he was from Peru.
What was
And-
the age difference? Was there any age difference
There
at
was
all?
a few years,
Few
not
years.
a whole lot. Yeah,
Not
about
that
10
bad at
years.
all,
That's
no.
all. Yeah.
Something around the two of you just kept circling.
Yeah, we
and
were
circling
just, it
in
wasn't
energy.
it was a relationship, not as a husband and wife would be, but as my best friend for many, many years. He taught me so much.
I just got a spiritual voice in my head. You two girls tell me how close to stupidity or genius this might sound. The divorce rate got up to 50 to 80%. I think if all those divorced people had concentrated on past lives, they would have solved so many problems that the divorce rate would have been the usual 2%. What do you think?
Yes, I think you're correct, actually. I do. But then there's many, I'm losing it right now. So I've been married a few times.
Oh, really?
Okay,
See
let's
how
go.
that relates?
Yeah, let's go to, because I'd love to talk about the time travel and
Sure,
astral projection, and
sure.
I think you're meant to be listening. And my great friend Dawn here, we were together in other lives, right?
How many other lives were you two together in?
I don't know, Sally, how many?
Well, we know about the Renaissance, right? But I think we go back before that, actually. Yeah.
You
My-
think there was a chance that you two were reversed in personalities when you knew each other in past lives?
What do you think?
Yeah, well, I do, actually, we've discussed this. I think that Dawn was my daughter, actually, in one
Oh,
lifetime.
that's
In that
amazing.
particular one, definitely. Because when I walked into the studio, and I was meant to come here 4 years ago, not actually in a different place, but the moment I walked in, and I brought some art in with me, right, she had seen my art, but I'd never met her. So, you don't mind
That's-
talking about this on the air,
No,
right?
absolutely
Yeah,
true. I had
absolutely.
a dream about that tree painting that I think you took.
Did I?
Yeah, it was over there. I think you
Okay.
took it home. It
Oh.
was a forest. I had a dream about
Oh,
the
I
forest
did,
painting.
yes. I'll bring it back.
I wish you brought it in.
Yeah.
Now, there's also theory about the time travel to do when you're actually literally dreaming at night. Supposedly, you go into a time travel backwards and
A little bit more to the
Oh,
right.
sorry. Supposedly, you go back into a time travel that's backwards and forward inside of heaven, whatever you perceive to be heaven. Have you heard about that?
Well, I can only, again, from my own experiences of what have happened to me, and of course we can interpret heaven however we want. And I often say this, that there are many different dimensions, which I've learned from. And I think ultimately it's a journey here.
All right.
And then we've reached, I cannot go beyond what we've reached when we end our journey. And one thing I will not discuss because I don't know.
That's very
that
interesting.
when we go. But I think, yes, I think time travel is in between dimensions, what's happening here or what's happened in future lives or before, which we had just talked about that earlier, actually.
Have you heard of any stories about people being caught in time travel that they cannot come back here or cannot go back to a different dimension at all?
Okay, I actually haven't, but I do believe that that can happen.
Yes.
Absolutely. But you know, I try to keep very positive with my messages,
Sure,
and
sure.
I don't like to scare people in any
Right,
way. So if
right.
they feel that they're going to be traveling, and I've traveled many, many times through my astral projection, it's always been a very positive experience. But I also do say, and I really absolutely stress this, that we do, and Aldo, my friend, you have to protect yourself.
Yes.
But when you do that and you truly believe that you're protecting yourself, I don't believe anything bad's going to happen.
I don't think so
If I
either.
started to think, well, I don't want to, one thing he used to say, don't go in a thunderstorm, but that was him, just kind of maybe it was a
Right.
joke. But I think it's very, very important to be positive about this whole thing.
I think it's incredibly time travelers that light just went off as you were talking about.
Oh, I
that.
didn't even notice.
Yes.
Oh,
like
my God.
That's like a signal from some
Yes,
kind of a
yes, this is
spiritual
good.
thing.
It's good conversation.
Whoa.
Well, we know that. How many times when I come in here, I'm getting I call them my famous goosebumps. A light will go off. Absolutely.
Are you serious?
Yeah, absolutely. That's not
Whoa.
the first time this has happened.
You're getting big time signals
We have a
here.
door up there. Well, it's your studio here, but doesn't it open many times?
Is it open now?
I don't know. It's open.
These
Okay,
people
we
are seeing
don't
it as
open
it's
it.
happening
Yes,
right here with the light.
absolutely. But it's happened many times. Dawn and I have this connection.
I am stunned.
But then she was my daughter.
Exactly.
So
and you
you-
two have a little bit of the same look in your facial structures too.
Yeah.
You're both beautiful women, but you look a little bit the same too. That's a positive.
Thank you.
Yes.
And then the door will just close.
It'll just
and then
close.
Sally
And the
Joe
Yes.
really.
Yes, I've had I've been here a year. My show is a year and a half now, but the most amazing things have happened here, and the people that I've met. Someone came into the parking lot the other day, and
What
he didn't
happened?
even know. He didn't know this was a studio. He walked in. He was so into all of this, and suddenly he wouldn't. He sat down and he said, "No, I'm sitting right next to. It's not me per se, but
Right,
that
yeah,
was, he
right,
sensed
right.
the vibrational energy. He doesn't even know why you
Wow.
walked in here."
That's amazing. And about time traveling too, there's always pictures from certain events, conspiracies or non, and there's people from 100 years ago or maybe 100 years in the future. They're always showing up in the pictures too. Have you seen
Yeah,
that?
they do. And I don't know if I have that particular painting that I drew, which Aldo told me was from a lifetime. I think it's maybe in the other room, where I have many faces. And it was why I talk about that particular lifetime. It was a very prominent lifetime where I actually knew everything that I'm talking about in that lifetime. I didn't have to believe it, but I was ready, and I'm drawing, because here I'm drawing so much from that lifetime, and I actually put the people, haven't I? I've got the faces on that from a lifetime ago. We don't remember all our lifetimes.
You
I mean,
notice
we'd
that.
go crazy.
I know
We're
that.
bringing the ones that would be
The computer can only take so much up
exactly,
here.
and we're bringing the ones that we need for this lifetime to learn more. right?
Exactly. I wanted to say something about her high priestess thing. Tell me if I'm wrong on this. High priestess, emotionally and technically, are somewhere between a doctor, a spiritual doctor, and also what they call voodoo doctors too, but on the more positive side. Do I have that correct, or am I totally off on that?
That's an interesting question. I don't think I've ever been asked that. As
It
if
shows
I
you how
am
much
the
I've been
high
studying
priestess.
this. Yeah.
We'll talk more about that, because I'd love to give you, maybe I'll get some messages for you.
Yeah,
Caroline.
because I think a high priestess is more like maybe a woman of wisdom.
Yes.
Yes, I agree
yes.
with you, yes.
Every high priestess I found on the internet, female. None of them were males.
Well, priestess is a feminine term.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yes.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's lovely. Once you begin to open up, the most amazing things happen to you. They call it waking up, when we do begin to wake up.
Yeah, well, I feel like I've been waking up for a long time.
But you're ready. I think I just said, I don't know,
taking-
I remember nothing of what I talk about when I'm
Taking
here, as
another
you know,
plunge into waking up.
till I listen to it.
Do you have certain blocks going on with what you're talking about here that you don't remember?
Well, I don't remember anything until I...
Anything?
No, I don't. You know that, Dawn. I don't remember anything about my show. I don't like to know any questions. But when I go back into the recording,
Yeah.
if you say, well, we talked about this, but then that part of the conversation I remember. Right now, I'm in a trance, but you don't really know that.
That's extraordinary, what she just told me.
How did you find Sally?
I was looking on the internet for spiritual, and I put the word spiritual geniuses in, and all of a sudden a bunch of people came up and boom.
Right this way.
What's that?
Closer to your mic.
Sure. And all of a sudden her name and her picture came up too. Spiritual geniuses.
Cool.
Wow.
You got it going on.
That's impressive, Sally.
Very
That's
impressive.
very nice.
And the
thank
first
you.
time I talked to her, when
There
she
was a
said
connection.
goosebump thing, the goosebump thing,
Yeah, that was
man, could I feel it. The energy was just like boom, 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 boom. Different layers of energy too.
It's all about timing too. And again, I'm the last person, and you know that too. I'm not at all egotistical. It's not there
No,
to
you
tell
don't
people
seem,
that.
you
I'm
don't
not.
have that at all.
But I have had a lot of things happen to me, and I cannot deny what I believe. And I don't remember my show. I remember very little of it until I look at the recording, and then I'll definitely remember that segment.
And do you have laughs over what you say sometimes? That was funny, that was funny?
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah,
mean,
see that?
yes, yeah. That's actually humor is very important to me,
Yes,
and as you know,
exactly.
because I'm on their show sometimes when
Right.
they're doing a show. I love humor. To me, this is very, very important. I like to make not necessarily a joke, but bring it in so that people, I think you can bring people in that way.
Yes.
I don't often talk about, in fact, I don't think I've ever talked about that really, the humor, but it's very important to me, humor.
Great equalizer humor,
Yeah,
whether
I
it be
agree.
prepared or it be spontaneous
I
humor
agree.
too.
But I
Yeah.
love laughter.
Yeah,
Laughing is
it's
so
so
fabulous.
important. It
Feels
lifts
good.
your spirit. I mean, to me, I've got a little bit going on now, as you know, and I was tired. I've had a half an hour's sleep last night. But, you know, once I get into here, you wouldn't know that today.
Your
yeah.
meridian lines open up and you feel
Yes,
energy.
you absolutely feel it. And part of that is the humor sometimes that I can bring to myself, which I'll bring it and bring it forth onto the show.
Let me make a guess. When you go to sleep at night, you turn on something on the internet or TV that's humorous. Maybe I'm off on this?
Probably, yes.
Because I
yes.
feel as though you get
But
plugged
I
right
think
into
it's something
humor.
to do maybe in other lifetimes too. I believe that I was doing something with humor
Exactly.
in another lifetime.
stand-up comedian or
Yes,
something?
I love entertainment.
There we go. We're getting there.
And I mean, I've not been on the air before, but I've been a year and a half on this show, and you know what I say to you. To me, I'm at home in the
Good.
studio.
Very
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. But then again, if I can bring my message forth that way, it's very important to me too.
I'm looking at a new lifetime for you too, right here in this lifetime here. You're going to be doing public speaking, and you're going to be doing a lot of improv comedy in front of people too.
Well, I have to hurry up because I'm getting old.
See that humor right there?
No, but this is the truth.
Yeah, you're getting old. It's amazing. Something that will clear up for the two of you when you get the blockages away. You'll be taking your glasses off very soon thereafter, 24 to 48 hours after that, and your sight will clear
I
up.
have to tell you, how often do I ever put glasses on in my show? Because I had a half an hour sleep last night. I
You
actually joked about that. I said, I'm
Really?
wearing glasses
Right.
today. I very rarely ever put my glasses
That's
on.
funny.
In the
That's
show.
funny for me too, is
Yeah.
the eye doctor just told me that my eyes got better. So I
Right.
had to get new glasses with weaker prescription.
You're getting the blocks away right
They,
there.
it clears a lot in your head. It clears illnesses. It clears so much.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is
so-
what are your were you wearing contact lenses when
No,
you were
I
young?
don't really need. I mean, I'm just very tired.
Oh,
so
you're just tired.
vanity. It's a
So
vanity.
It's a
thing.
vanity, but
It's
it
a vanity
refocuses
thing.
you in too. That's amazing.
I'm very.
Take a commercial break?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, we'll see you in a few minutes on the other side of this show. I always say not the other side.
The other side.
The other side of the show. That was a laughter thing, yeah. Yeah, yeah. This world, this life, this illusion. What is going on, we ask? What is happening? Why not take time and see what is happening? This world as we know it, it seems so real, and yet so far away from where we've come. Corruption, greed, anger, power, revenge. Please wake up. We can change what is around us. How, we may ask? Learn to go back to where we were. Then we will have the clues. Then we can change and go forward. Please take the time. Do not fall into the game which we have put upon ourselves. We can change. We can make a difference. We have the power, each and every one of us. Go in peace. Go with love. Go as one. Zena.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Bernard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the 3rd dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Bernard, and you can find my book and artwork by visiting artbysallybernard.com. Now back to the show.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Once again, we are on the other side of my show. Okay,
Hi.
let's open it up a little bit more, Pete, as we just
Yeah.
met, but I think we have a lot in common. So
Yes,
if there's any
very
questions
much.
that you feel you might want to ask me.
I'm thinking about the time traveling again, and I'm thinking about this theory that permeates around the time traveling, that there's so much time traveling going on in people's lives that literally we've all been here so many times that the 8.4 billion people on the earth already knew each other.
Actually, that opens up a question to me. As you were just asking me, talking, not asking me, you were explaining that a little bit. Do you think that time travel and also, my gosh, it's gone from me because once I put my mind into it, time travel and timelines, that's what I wanted to say.
Timelines or
Yes.
limes?
Lines.
L-I-N-E-S.
Yes, because we do switch timelines periodically.
Yes.
So how much, and I feel like maybe you know a lot more than maybe I do on this subject, but I
Sure.
don't know what I know. But
Right.
that it's something to do with, we go into a timeline, but then again, it's a time travel. This is just coming to me.
Interesting, because computer programming is based on 0101, which is timeline. And scientifically and spiritually, we're 50% science, we're 50% spiritual. And if you go into that science part, you're on the line, the timeline.
Which, again, I mean, this is getting in a little deep, I know, but as far as I can see and what I feel is we switch timelines more often than we actually realize. And Aldo actually explained this to me one time, and I see that the way that we can sometimes know that, we can be going down a street and you see a particular building or even a tree that you know is there. Suddenly you'll go down that same street again and there's no tree there, or that building isn't there.
Yeah.
How in the world do you explain that? So I think we do switch a lot of the time.
Exactly.
But whether that's to do with time travel, I can only answer these questions with, just to explain what happens to me. I can talk about these things, but I need a question to me and then I can answer it. I answer, as you know, questions.
You're going through time travel as you're doing that conversation.
Yeah, but if you say, I don't know, Sally doesn't know the answer to that.
Oh.
But if you were to ask me a question, I'll get the answer.
Okay.
Everybody knows that. I have to have a question thrown at me.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
How many times were you married in your past time traveling lives?
How many times in all the time travels?
Yeah.
That is because each lifetime, I know in this lifetime how I've been married, and I'm
Right.
putting my mind into
Right.
that. I don't know, because I believe that well, not everybody, but I do believe for myself personally, if I want to bring myself into this, I've been back many, many times. I believe there are many different planes and planets.
Right.
I've actually been on Earth on this particular plane many, many times.
Very interesting. Now, did your husband and you, your past husbands in your time travel lives, switch roles, wife to husband, husband to wife?
Well, I don't know if I've necessarily done it with my husbands, but I do believe definitely that we definitely switch roles. I
Yes.
think maybe having answered that, someone asked me that before. I think I'm more of a female than I've been a male, but I've been male many times.
Many times.
Yeah.
And that's where we
definitely.
get into the chromosomes too, the male and the female chromosomes in everybody's
In fact,
body.
Aldo, who came into my life in this particular lifetime, knew me as a female. He could tell me, I'm drawing from my life, so he's explaining to me actually what I'm drawing. But going back beyond the Renaissance, even further back, I was a male with him, and we were actually, when they were fighting with the, I don't know, bows and arrows or whatever, I have no idea. But I was a male. But we've had so many lifetimes. Not everybody, but I do believe I definitely have.
Very,
many
very
lifetimes.
interesting.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Can you tell me how many lifetimes I've had? Or have I always been feminine?
No, I think you've actually had, and they call it old soul, but that's just an expression. Excuse me, my voice is going a little bit. I think you've been back many times, Evelyn. I think that you have, very similar to me, and I've said this before, when I knew more about, even more than I know now, was in that period of the Renaissance Center. It's coming back to me. I had had lifetimes after that. Why I'm telling you, because I believe that the same thing happened to you, not necessarily the same time frame in the Renaissance Center, is that I was so fed up with what the responsibility I had in that lifetime that I came back several times and it was dormant. It doesn't mean that I didn't know it. I chose this particular lifetime, and I'm getting goosebumps. I think you're doing the same, to wake up. So a lot of the things that happened to me then came flooding back, but I had to be ready. If it had happened to me in my last lifetime, where I believe I was in entertainment actually, and the lifetime before, I wasn't ready. But it doesn't leave you. It doesn't leave you.
Right.
It just didn't want to bring it in this particular lifetime. I've chosen to do it in this lifetime. Why am I telling you this? Because I think you've done the same. I think that you knew a lot from, let's say, Atlantis. I think you did. And I think that even sitting here now, opening up a little bit to this with what we're talking about, you understand more than you realize that you understand. But as Aldo used to say to me, go little by little by little. That was the most famous expression he used to say. Because if you suddenly opened up to all of this, your mind won't, our mind, as we know it, won't take in everything we're saying.
I would so love to have a spirit guide come to me and talk to me. Like,
Well, I guess in my situation it was a little different because he was so knowing of everything. He knew all his lifetimes. He didn't go into them all, but had known me. And he wanted, when I started to have these travels, he explained to me my dream.
Interesting.
He was in what I thought was a dream.
Fabulous.
I had this of flying all over the place. I wonder what in the world was happening to me.
Yeah.
I go to
Everybody's
work.
flying.
It's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
But I go to work the next day, and this Aldo, I had never spoken to him for 2 years, and we'd been in the same building.
Wow.
He stood behind me as we were getting a cup of coffee, and he said to me, I know where you were last night.
Oh.
I didn't even know where I was. And proceeded to, and this, every word of this is true. Absolutely, I wouldn't be telling you otherwise. He explained to me what I thought was a dream that I didn't understand. Everything that came into that dream, he told me.
Wow.
And your spiritual, you're saying you want the spirits to talk to you, the spiritual guys, they're always talking to you. Either you have to calm down a little bit more, get a little bit more excited, and it'll start to come right through your body. You'll hear words, you'll hear a voice,
Yeah.
or you'll decide which way to go.
What do you mean more excited?
You're definitely ready.
More excited means it might be a case. Most people think you have to be calmed down, more calmed
Right.
down. I don't truly believe that. I believe maybe
I do.
calm down 50% and maybe just get a little bit more excited about accepting the voice coming into you.
Ah, okay.
Listen, just listen. I often talk about intuition. Listen, but I was so I thought new at this. I used to have a fan in my bedroom, which we have going, and I said to Aldo, I better switch the fan off. As I'm flying, I think I'm going to go right through the
Are
fan.
you serious?
In the very beginning. yeah,
Wow.
but I know that now. It's not.
That is really connected. Very, very connected.
So it's just, you have to be ready. Or I couldn't understand what was happening to me. I could hear all this noise. I could feel the energy and everything. But I was lucky. I did have someone that came into my life.
Yes.
It wasn't coincidence, but I wouldn't have believed it at that time. Who knew every question I asked him, he had an answer for.
That is
Amazing.
somebody that's really
Oh, he
connected with
was.
it. I mean,
Yes,
seriously.
absolutely.
I've been doing writing for 48 years on all of this. I never tell any of the professionals what I'm doing when I go to check into a new apartment or a hotel. Checked into a hotel 7 years ago when I came down here to Florida. This Indian guy comes out who's a supervisor at a hotel, and all of a sudden he looks at me and says, "You write about time travel." And I'm like, whoa, whoa.
I actually have a question for you
Yes.
about that, but it's not, I mean, you have other, it's not just primarily just time travel.
No,
that,
it's
of
many
course.
other things
Yeah,
too.
but
Yeah.
it's so interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it's not only time travel, it's the spirit guides, it's psychology. To me, she's a psychologist just without a license, just talking to her for this amount of time. You could solve every problem in male and female. I know it.
I was saying that to my friend the other day, actually. I said, I feel like a psychologist
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah, but
Some states you don't need a license. All you have to do is do 50% entertainment, which you're doing, and 50% technical psychology.
well, it's
which
life
you're doing.
experiences too. If you've got that
Exactly.
behind you, you've got the life experiences, yeah.
Exactly.
But I've got my work cut out. I'm going to do here. I
It's
want
going
to
to be
get
a
little
lot of
bit
work.
out-
You're going to
yeah.
have a lot of fun in all
Yeah,
of this.
but I also want to get my paintings, I think, a little bit out there today.
Yeah.
Right.
So
think
tell
I'm
us
gonna-
more about that painting. Then, like, what inspired
It's
it?
hard to. I have no idea. One thing I do know that I did before I sat. I have a few. I have another one over there, and I've done a very big one now. I've got so many different styles, as you know, Dawn. Right, that one up there. But I have also greenery. Some say it looks like Monet's paintings. So I said every time I have a break from my painting, my totally changes my art. It's all abstract
Right.
except for the green ones. So I said, what in the world could I ever do that would be different?
That's
So
phenomenally
that's
fantastic.
another one too.
It's phenomenally
So how-
fantastic.
Suddenly, I found another way of abstract. I don't know what I'm doing. Just like I'm here now talking on my show, and I won't remember until I play it back, part of it.
Can
that
I ask
happens
a question
to me
though
with my
about
art.
that? I want to know. Now that you're in this trance and you're doing that, could you read the painting for us, please?
Difficult. I really don't know. I sometimes ask people, what do they see? I started off actually as I was painting. This is how I realized that there is a lot of spirituality in my artwork, that I would recognize how spiritual someone was, because they'd say to me, I see that, or I see, because my art is very strange. But I somehow could sense how far they were on their journey when they pointed certain things out. And we're going back quite a few years now. I said, I hadn't sometimes seen what I've painted.
You got a
I've
lot
got
of
many.
wheels in there. There's a lot of wheels
Yeah,
in
I
there.
do a
too.
lot of faces and
I was
eyes.
gonna say
Right.
eyes. A lot of eyes.
But
You-
but
you-
in the beginning, I was actually sketching. It was nothing like this.
Nothing like that sketch.
No,
at
I
first.
was sketching from other lifetimes, and they all.
Wow.
Aldo actually at that time interpreted my art of what I was drawing from other lifetimes.
Her first painting, back of the one that's there now, it says Soho, 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 New York City, downtown New York to me. It's like it's yelling at me, Soho, New York.
This painting down here that Dawn just put on the floor,
Yes.
that looks like. So that's a newer.
I love doing this.
That's a
actually.
newer painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a brand new one. I just did that a couple of weeks ago, but I've done it
Yeah.
on a very big canvas now. I can't stop painting. I had a break for about a year. So much was going on.
There must be a message that Spirit's trying to send through you to create this painting.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think to me, even if it's just me that was interpreting that message,
Yes.
is how in the world could I be drawing? This has a lot of meaning, but in the very beginning, symbols of people, of things that I've never seen. I was very stubborn to wake up, and I can honestly say this now today, that it took me. Well, I was getting many things as a child. I was getting messages, but I didn't fully understand the extent of it. But when I started to paint these things, I'm thinking, how is this possible? And I'm drawing, not this, but sketching things. I drew I was in a castle, so to speak. I don't often talk about that lifetime, but I was in it was a type of palace, and I would get up. I never painted a thing in my life. And this thing was very intricate with all the lines, which I'll show you. I have done some.
Sure.
I would have to wake up sometimes at 3 in the morning you'd never know, but I'd have to move a line.
Ah.
I mean, how silly is that?
3
But
o'clock in the morning.
sometimes I say that
That's
line is not in the
amazing.
right place.
Wow.
So
You are
that's-
getting signals all the
I
time.
was getting them all my life, but I didn't know that until
Hey, Don,
actually.
do you think this woman could ever go to sleep? No.
Well, I didn't sleep last night, but no, I sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
So
you
what
get
do you
deep s-
call, sorry, what do you call this piece?
I don't even sometimes name them. But it does come to me when I start naming. I would say, I don't know. What would you call it, Dawn?
It's up to you.
Well, it's a question for you.
Okay, I'm not good at
Zena?
bringing my mind into it, actually.
Oh,
If-
is that mind?
Well,
Oh, I
no,
thought
of
when
what
I ask
I've
a
drawn.
question-
I don't know.
Okay.
Call it my mind.
My mind.
Right
yes,
there.
My mind in chaos.
Right, my mind in chaos.
Yes, my
Just love
mind in
it.
chaos.
Beautiful.
But then I have about 5 now like this. Yeah.
That's amazing. You know, what I'm seeing from that too is the genesis of life. A lot of people think we come from the sea, and some people go back to the sea when they're dead. The thin lines of white are fishes from the sea, and it's representing life and the fun and the seriousness of life too.
Love it.
You're
But I
getting-
think the most amazing is that so many people this is what I was actually saying, I think a few seconds ago. It's where we are spiritually is what we see in my art.
Exactly.
And someone can see a face, but somebody else might not see it. And I began at the very beginning of my art to see that people that were on their journey, so to speak, there's nothing wrong with not being on your journey,
Right.
but once you open up on your journey,
Right.
they were seeing similar things that someone else couldn't see.
Amazing.
And that's what happened.
Are you getting any birthdays coming off of your paintings? Anything that says anything about birthdays? Because there's a lot of bright colors in here, and that's usually meaning a spiritual, uplifting time for anybody who's having a birthday. Deep. I know.
Actually,
Love it.
you know what? We're in March.
Yeah.
And I can't believe you just said that because March is a very, my daughter who passed, her birthday was March the 25th.
Whoa.
My granddaughter is March the 26th.
Whoa.
And you're March 24th. There you
March
go. You're
24th.
absolutely right
Da,
on.
da, da, da.
Oh my God,
Give me
am I
another
getting,
one.
yes.
It's the goosebumps. Dun, dun,
Yes,
dun, dun, dun.
absolutely.
She's
That's
gonna sell
exactly
goosebumps on
right.
the
I didn't
streets.
even realize we were in March. Time goes.
Whoa.
Yes, you're absolutely
What
right.
month
And I
did
just,
you think it was?
No, when I started to think, I knew it was
Right,
March. Yeah,
right.
but March has always been a very important month because my daughter was born the 25th. Her daughter, who is my granddaughter,
Right.
was born in April, but she was given the date of the 25th, and my other granddaughter was born on the 26th.
Whoa.
So it was March, and my other daughter here from a previous life was born March the 24th.
Hey, Dawn, we got
Yeah,
something big going on here. That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's funny that well, it's not funny, but
Well,
it's just another.
it's another
There you go,
connection
right
right
on the
there.
on the show here.
Are you ever going to sell these at all?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah,
Here's the
I'm
price I'm seeing on this: $5,000 a piece, easily. Easily.
It's hard to put, my story behind it is what. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I think you should put your
Yeah,
name in something on these too.
Yeah, I have my name somewhere on there.
What, what name were you thinking about?
No, I just put Sally on the corner.
You did?
Yes, but
So-
on the back I usually write. I've only got a few in here. I put Zena on the back.
Okay.
Because part of one of my travels actually was to call myself Zena.
Which
so.
name do you would like to prefer to go by?
I just with people that I find in my life that are a little more, I say spiritual, whatever we want to
Well,
call
whatever
ourselves.
it is, yes.
They tend to call me Zena. Actually,
Really?
but
I'm
not
going to call
always,
you
I guess.
Zena from now on. I
It's
think
up
you
to
love
you.
love
Would you
that
call
name.
me Sally, daughter? Yeah.
She calls you
Yes,
Sally.
yes,
All right.
yes. Yeah, mom. She calls me mom.
Closeness right there.
Yeah. But my daughter gives you many messages. My daughter that passed. yeah.
Every one of the legends in music, in paintings, in radio, TV, in writing, they all have a tremendous connection to this past life thing. Tremendous, and it never stops.
Wow, interesting.
Oh no! Once you begin to open up, you'll sense it because, I mean, I was lucky because I had the visuals of this and I was able to put it. I'd never had a lesson, but I was just my first astral rejection. I was going down and I see it like we were saying that. Well, these things are like it happened yesterday, and this is 18 years ago. I was actually going down an alleyway, and there was a lady painting on there. I subsequently met that lady in this life, who was one of my closest friends, funnily enough, who had the same dream too. It's been amazing. But she said to me, go and get some crayons and start to draw.
She
I'd
just
never
felt
draw-
it right away.
She knew it. But
She
I
knew
was
it.
on my traveling when this happened. And it took me 2 months before I knew it, but it had no significance in this life because I wasn't an artist. And I was scribbling one day, and it's in my first book, but there's going to be another one. And I'm scribbling, and I said to myself, this looks like something. I was on the phone on hold with
You
somebody.
could start to see
and
it.
then I suddenly started, and I could not stop.
You
From
couldn't
the very
stop at
beginning,
all.
I could not stop the drawing.
Couldn't sleep, you couldn't
no,
stop.
I
You
was
just-
going. Aldo, who became my friend, my guide, would have to call me and say, have something to eat. I couldn't, and yet I was still going to work. I was in sales at
Wow,
that time.
you were like a machine, just
Yeah,
going right
yeah,
through everything.
yeah.
This all connects up into how John Lennon and Yoko Ono met. Supposedly, the legend says John Lennon just walks into one of the artistic shops in Lower Manhattan. He's walking around inside the room. He sees an apple on top of a counter, and he starts to talk about it, just like what we're talking. Yoko Ono is passing by. She hears him, and all of a sudden, boom, they connect. And
I find that
was it.
so interesting that you say John Lennon, because you're talking about, channeling these past lives, whatever. When I paint, I
She's also an artist, yeah.
often get someone. I don't know if they literally comes to me. Anyway, myself goes to someone, and John Lennon was this huge painting I created
Uh,
with
Well, John
with
Lennon
John
was
Lennon.
actually very, very spiritual.
And
Yes,
it was
He knew a lot.
incredibly
really
spiritual.
such a beautiful experience for me.
Unfortunately, they killed him.
yeah, unfortunately.
But he knew a lot. I mean, just take his music.
Yeah.
Imagine the song.
Imagine,
It's just
that's my
dum,
favorite
dum,
song.
dum,
I mean,
dum, dum,
you
dum.
take the lyrics to that song, how much did he know? I
Yeah.
mean, you take every part of that song, he knew.
And all the songs that McCartney and Lennon collaborated on, supposedly, Paul McCartney's dreaming nothing but about his mother's conversations with him. And every single word that she says to him in a dream, he wakes up and he starts writing that about that name or that word.
It's amazing how much we actually do have happen to us, but we're so, I mean, I can say it for myself in the beginning, because I'm going to use the word closed-minded, because we just don't want to believe that there's so much more. And there are reasons people influence us, let's say, to not believe this or to think it's all made up. But when you break through that a little bit, I mean, and we've got to have balance here, so we're going to get people that say this is not right or whatever. But when you begin to see it, you can't deny it. And there's no way I would ever try today.
When you say goosebumps to me over the phone, I just kept thinking about that, feeling it, and thinking I felt her energy was like a loop that was just going up and up
I
and
like
up.
to call that God bumps.
Yes, good. I like that too.
But Dawn, you know how many people, just as Pete's just walked in here too, that we've connected with on the spiritual level.
How many people in the
How many
since-
people really even know this?
Yes.
And yet it's a very small percentage of what I know you know.
Exactly.
Maybe 2%. But I have
1 to
met
2,
maybe, how many people in this that have come here that we've drawn? I don't want to say it's all me, but we've drawn
it's
them
her,
here
It's her, it's her.
Yeah.
Yeah, too.
that understand what we're even talking
How many
about.
people have come to here since January 1st?
We've had a few. Yeah,
Lots.
yeah, a few. But
Many,
they
many.
can talk on a spiritual level. But the strange part is this. It's strange, Dawn. They don't seem to come back. Russ, yes, he has. But the few people that have connected so much, they come in and then they disappear.
They're hearing the truth. They don't want to know the
Well,
truth,
they-
or the
no,
truth
because
does
they come
something
in
for
with,
them and then
like,
they leave.
messages of some kind, don't
Maybe
they?
they're here as a messenger or for a message.
Yeah, just to
Ah,
share.
delivering
Right.
a message.
That's true.
Am I allowed to give out my email address?
Absolutely, yes.
Joyce's, JOYCES, radio @gmail.com. Thank you very much.
You're
Joyce's
welcome.
Radio.
Joyce's radio is from the female side. My sister produces my writings, and she calls it radio, TV, but writings, but we decided just to use the word radio to make it a short email address.
But what is it? What are your writings about?
We're writings about past lives, travel, time travel. I talk about TV, radio, the evolution of it, and why certain things have happened where radio and TV personalities no longer get paid. They have to pay radio TV stations now. And the FCC has opened up, I was going to talk to her about, you can actually start broadcasting from here too with an FM transmitter, cost about $61. I was going to talk to you and her about that too.
So we're learning more. I don't know anything at all about the technical side, but ask me something else and I'll tell you.
They're sending you a message. You can ask them.
Yeah, what are they sending me?
What are they saying to you?
Ask her a question.
I have to do it in a question form, and I can get any of the answers.
How famous do you want to become?
Okay, that's a good question. Aldo, are you here? Let me know. He always told me that he kept very quiet about what was happening to him. He did it on a one-to-one, and I was the reciprocate. But one of his last words to me before he passed is, "Please be my mouthpiece." It's going to make me cry, because he taught me so much for 18 years, as you know. You didn't get to meet him. And there was nothing that he would not do or be able to tell for me. I mean, it was a different type of love. It was somebody that I'd known for many, many years. And he always had said, but later on, before he passed, he knew when he was going to pass, but he didn't tell me.
He could feel that.
He knew, yeah.
That's
But
an
he
amazing
said to me,
part.
I mean, it was the most amazing person, be my mouthpiece, go ahead and give the world this. That's what he told me. And
gave
he's
you
been
the
gone
whole
2 years.
Wow.
2
That's
years now.
extraordinary. You're going to see him again. You
Oh
know
yes,
that.
he's
Right.
with me. I see. Well, you know that, but yeah, does he come in here?
What was his
yeah.
question? What was his message?
Was for me to spread basically what I'm talking about, to tell people. The reason I do it, I mean, I often talk about my age, but it is I don't have too many more years left. That I want to show people, and I always say that anything is possible. Anything is possible, but you have to believe it's possible. So my message to people, to even open up on my show or who listen to me, I don't expect everybody to believe this. Absolutely not. But I can only tell you what I've experienced, and he wanted me to tell the world of what I've experienced through my art, through meeting him, through knowing a couple of lifetimes. I mean, I walked into the the expo they have down here. They have, what is that? They have an expo where you can go and you can have a booth. Yeah. I was walking a couple of years ago. I don't really like to say who I was in that lifetime, but one of the gentlemen there had a booth, and he called me over. I was in a whole crowd of people, and he told me also, and he was showing there exactly who I was in that lifetime. He told me.
Wow.
So how could I deny any of this?
Wow.
So I
get so
went back
many
and told
people.
Aldo, and you also have to be careful too, and I do understand that. But he just wants me, if I go ahead and tell my story and through the airways or a movie, hopefully having a movie and a new book written, to leave that message with the earth here.
Wow.
So because there's so much going on in this world, there is hope. This isn't the end.
No,
What we're experiencing is not the end.
So many other different dimensions and
Yes.
plateaus and lifetimes and everything
And
else.
my belief, which could be another show, I believe this is all an illusion anyway, but to explain that is
That's very difficult to explain.
but we could do a show on that, and I don't expect everybody to believe that too, but I began to understand that too, and it makes life tolerable actually, if nothing else, because you're looking down on yourself, if you want, so to speak. So when we're going through difficult times, and they're telling me to tell you this is Aldo telling me, it's a game we're playing.
It's like a chess game, right?
It's absolutely male, female, good, bad. It's all a game.
Game.
A game.
And it's all teaching each other, teaching and teaching and
Yes.
teaching and teaching.
So if people begin to go, if they're going through hard times, and it's very important to be positive, just know this too shall pass. It's what we're having to learn. Does that make sense? One of my guys always says, does that make sense?
Does that make sense? One of your guides says that.
They all the time.
That's a
It's
teaching
particularly
thing
one.
too. Does that make sense? Come
Yes,
back to
yeah.
me. Does that make sense? Come back to me.
My
It's like
voice
a
is going from
ping-pong
lack
game
of
all the
sleep
time.
last
We
night.
have about 1 minute.
Okay.
Want to wrap up?
Yes, I think so, yes. Okay, well, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Pete, for being on my show.
Thank
you.
you.
Great to meet you. Thank you, Evelyn, and as always, thank you, Dawn.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Thank you.
Sally, you can contact her on email at callmezena24@gmail.com, or always right here at the studio on Mondays. She doesn't even know she has an email.
Yeah, I tried that, but it didn't go through.
I have it.
Okay, I think I have to put in something. It says it doesn't exist, but that's
Okay,
okay.
try
Yeah.
it.
But also locally, as we can see, please come into the studio. That's what happened, and here you are. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. Tune in this time next week, 2:30 on a Monday. Thank you, Evelyn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pete.
Thank you.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Bernard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30. Have a blessed day.